on that National League playoff picture. The Dodgers and Mets have a chance to seal their fates later on today as well. With that, we welcome you to historic Wrigley Field with Hall of Famer John Smoltz, Matt Vasgersian. Yes, John, the Cubs and Pirates already know they're going to play in the postseason, yet there's a lot to be determined from here on out, and that makes today's game important.
Yeah, it's really interesting for the Pirates. They've been there, done that, right? They don't want that one-game playoff. They still have hopes for a divisional title. They need some help, and they got to take down the Cardinals. For the Cubs, if they have any chance to host one game, they have to win these next two games.
So much of the talk this year has been of the balance of power in baseball lying in the National League Central. And as such, here today, there is plenty of star power on the field.
Well, Chris Bryant, all the buzz in spring training, he's lived up to it, probably going to win the Rookie of the Year. But he's not playing like a rookie. He's been outstanding, especially in the second half. And for the Cubs, that's why they're relevant. For the Pittsburgh Pirates, Andrew McCutchen has been everything you can imagine. He's their MVP year in and year out. This is a very confident team, and with him at the helm and him doing what he's doing, the Pirates look to make a deep run in the postseason.
Two teams who are very familiar with one another and who might meet again in just over a week with much more on the line. We're back with starting lineups and the opening pitch from Wrigley Field coming up next. Central does hold the balance of power in baseball. The Cardinals, the cream of the crop, their fifth straight postseason appearance ahead. The Pirates, their third consecutive winning season after 20 straight losing campaigns. And for the Cubs, they're back with their first winning season since '09, their first playoff appearance since '08, and they are a very young group. And two of those three squaring off this afternoon here at Wrigley Field, the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Chicago Cubs, as Fox Saturday Baseball welcomes you back to the ballpark. And it is an enthusiastic crowd. They made it official with a scoreboard announcement today, though the folks that were watching the Giants and A's yesterday late knew that the Cubs had punched their ticket with a San Francisco loss. Joe Madden and company out to thank the fans, something that's become something of a regular occurrence here at Wrigley in 2015.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to watch this thing and the evolution of the Cubs this year, of course, ahead of the curve. The volume in September gets louder with the stands, and of course the players now realizing what ticket they've punched, and there's still hope that they could host a one-game playoff.
Let's line up Clint Hurdle's Pirates in this middle of the three-game series this afternoon. Starling Marte, Travis Snider, and five-time All-Star Andrew McCutchen off the top. Returnee and longtime Cub Aramis Ramirez at third base batting cleanup. Neil Walker, Francisco Cervelli, Pedro Alvarez, Jordy Mercer, and this afternoon's starter, the left-hander Francisco Liriano, rounded out for the Bucks. On the mound for the Cubs, making his 30th starting assignment of the year and looking to become a double-digit winner today, the veteran right-hander Jason Hammel. All set to begin his afternoon with his first offering to Starling Marte.
Now look for that a lot today out of the Pirates. And Jason Hammel having his struggles on first pitch contact.
0-1 to Marte. And it's a ball and a strike now.
For Hamels, you're going to get a fastball, sinker, anywhere between 92, 93 miles an hour, changeup, slider, and a curveball.
Marte with a soft bouncer out to shortstop for the rookie Addison Russell, whose throw puts Anthony Rizzo on his rear end. Nothing that Riz can't handle, I'm sure.
Well, you see he's in the grass and trying to get footing and throw on a quick release because Marte can get down the base line pretty fast. Pretty nice pickup there.
So something of an unusual start to the afternoon in terms of not your standard 6-3 ground ball. One away for the veteran right fielder Travis Snider. Two teams, John, the Cubs and Pirates, who are playing well of late. Pittsburgh in particular, and with so much discussion around the Cubs and Cardinals, and that's a ball that's going to find fair ground and translate into extra bases for Travis Snider.
Well, I think this is going to be a common theme. Aggressive early Pirates hitters against Jason Hammel. Throws a lot of fastballs. This is pretty lucky inside the bag. Had him shifted over. It's going to look like a line drive double in the scorebook, but a ground ball that's inside the baseline for Jason Hammel. Keeping the ball down, he can get some quick outs, but they're hitting .446 off the first pitch of Jason Hammel. So you know the scouting report is, if it's there, boys, let's go get it. And now the thunder of their lineup with McCutchen.
A chance for McCutchen to drive in an early run. He gets here rather cool, which is interesting considering the overall success of the Pirates down the stretch. First offering to him misses down and away. McCutchen just 6 for his last 33, and that spans the last 10 ball games. But again, the Pirates have been able to overcome that. They've won 7 in a row. They're playing well, and it's got to be encouraging for Clint Hurdle to have reeled off that kind of winning streak without his MVP really contributing. And there are 2 gone now here in the second.
Well, everybody around him has gotten hot in that winning streak. In the last 7 games, they've had some guys with 3s and 4s starting their average. Marte especially, 469.
Here's one of the hot guys, Aramis Ramirez, the longtime Cub, 3-time All-Star. Reacquired by the Pirates around the deadline from Milwaukee. Has already announced this is his swan song in Major League Baseball. And he has heated up the veteran third baseman at the right time. He too jumps on a first pitch and fouls it away.
You know, it's amazing about the Pirates. They've dominated everybody but their own division. You know, you think about where they sit and the best records. They have been unbelievable outside the division, but in the division basically a little bit around 500. And you would think that this team, with the last 2 years of the one game, they've still got 8 games left to catch the Cardinals. And it starts with this game against the Cubs.
You talk about how they might be a little bit more aggressive against Jason Hammel this afternoon. It's something to watch because the Pirates are not what you'd call a hyper aggressive early in the count swinging club. Well hit to the opposite field. Jorge Soler out there, and with the wind blowing in today, that becomes a routine out to end a scoreless top of the first. Snyder, let's get you right to Joe Madden's Cubs starting lineup this afternoon. Dexter Fowler has been terrific since around the midway point of the season. He leads off in center field today. Austin Jackson gets a spot start in right. And then the pop 3 and 4 with Bryant and Rizzo. Starlin Castro's been hot. He's hit safely in 10 of his last 13. Jorge Soler gets the nod in right field today. He bats number 6. David Ross, Jason Hamill, and Addison Russell will round things out for Chicago. On the mound for the Pirates, veteran left-hander Francisco Liriano making his 30th assignment of the season. 11-7 at the start of the day, coming off a good performance on Saturday in Los Angeles.
Yeah, he struggled a little bit in September, but everything for Liriano is going to be fastball command, especially down.
Dexter Fowler leading things off for the Cubs. Fowler, Jackson, and Bryant here for Chicago.
These two teams, we talked about first pitch swinging. They're 1 and 2 in baseball, and the average of first at bat, first swing, 388 for the Pirates, 384 for the Cubs. So if the pitchers are on, this has got the makings of a pretty quick, crisp game, because throwing the ball down with his two-seam sinker and changeup slider. We talked to Clint Hurdle today, and they said that's what Liriano, when he's on, it's his fastball command.
2 balls and a strike. Yeah, it's his fastball command, according to Clint Hurdle, when he's off as well. That's the way that Clint and Ray Searage, the very fine Pirates pitching coach, kind of get a gauge for what their left-hander has on any given day. That one's fouled away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Dexter Fowler, who, John, gets the nod for you as a DraftKings player to watch today.
Yeah, he's had some good at-bats against Liriano, drawing some walks, works the count, and, of course, how can you stay away from a guy who's on fire in Marte and then Chris Bryant as well.
Easy to play DraftKings. There are thousands of dollars in prizes every day. Enter the promo code BALLGAME to play for free at DraftKings.com as Francisco Liriano starts his afternoon with a strikeout.
Well, this is that front door comebacker, that two-seam sinker, and if he can get that pitch, it's going to be a long day for the Cubs. Of course, Fowler thinking that ball's off the plate. But the reason that's such an important pitch for Liriano, he's got that slider that'll go to the back foot of a right-handed batter, as well as a changeup away. So his stuff moves all over the place, and the key for him is down, knees and down.
Ball and no strikes to Austin Jackson, who, as we mentioned, gets a spot start in the outfield this afternoon with the left-hander on the mound. Kyle Schwarber sits today. Schwarber started in left yesterday in the series opener. An opportunity here for Joe Maddon to keep a few guys fresh down the stretch and give a few guys rest down the stretch. Hot shot for Alvarez at first. He stays with it for out number 2. But all that considered, John, you know, as we've set up the fact that the Cubs and Pirates have both qualified to play in the postseason, they have clinched an appearance in some capacity. There is still a lot to play for in the remaining week plus of the season. And by the way, there's a very good chance these two teams will meet up in the wild card game, whether it's here or in Pittsburgh. Sure, there's still the matter of a division title that kind of dangles there, but I think most folks are looking at this being your National League wild card matchup. So that begs the question as Chris Bryant digs in. You know, there are advanced guys for both the Cubs and Pirates that are here, ironically, and then they'll be following each team for the next week. How much of this head-to-head weekend will impact decisions that are made in another week or so for that wild card matchup?
Well, I think it's pretty big. I think the two things that are going on, of course, this game will determine whether the Cubs have a chance or not. If they don't win this game, it's highly unlikely they're going to be able to chase them down to get that home field wild card game if it's between these two teams. So this game, and then you turn it over to Arrieta tomorrow, who's been unbelievable. For the Pirates, same as can be said facing the Cardinals with 3 games left. As long as that number is 3 or less, you know you control that. The Cubs own the tiebreaker, which is why the next 2 games they win, if they're 2 games back in the loss column, that's more doable because of their head-to-head. So there's a lot of things that today's game will drive a manager's strategy one way or another based on the outcome.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Chris Bryant as he grounds one out to shortstop for Jordy Mercer, and Francisco Liriano takes care of the Cubs in order in the bottom of the first. Scoreless as we head to the visitors' half of the second. And John, we take a look at the 4 keys to the game this afternoon.
Yeah, we talked about it. Pitch ahead in the count. Liriano's been awfully good when he's ahead of the count. Not so good when he's behind. And then Hamels survived the first pitch, and you'll be fine. Hamels attacks on the first pitch, and so far we've seen aggressiveness out of both teams in the first inning.
Neil Walker, Francisco Cervelli, and Pedro Alvarez here in the Pittsburgh half of the second. Walker started with strike 1. Neil Walker among the hot Bucks at the start of the day. Last 10 games batting better than .413 for his last 32. part of a very healthy 2015 season for the Pittsburgh area native.
It's always interesting when I see teams come out of Colorado. Of course, that's where Pittsburgh was. Hitting the ball good, the confidence, seeing the ball, and then going on the road and seeing how much that carries over. Of course, the wind's blowing in today, so it's the opposite effect of being in Colorado.
It was a pitching and defense day yesterday, the one that the Pirates were able to survive with Mark Melancon hammering down yet another save, and Pittsburgh reeling off its 7th consecutive win. But I would imagine, back to your point, as you see the wind blowing in this afternoon, if you're going to go anywhere from Denver, even with the wind blowing in as it is today, a summer afternoon series at Wrigley would probably be okay, or early fall as it is. It's not like you're going from Denver to Seattle or Miami.
Right. Well, when you're going good and you're trying to finish the season strong, and of course try to chase down the Cardinals, which again this year we may never see this kind of year again in baseball, where the 3 best teams in division could come from the same division record-wise.
And a called strike 3 taken by Neil Walker. Hamill takes a little bit off and has his first punch out of the day.
Hamill's going to rely a lot on his slider, but I think this pitch right here is his curveball. You see it starts high, and of course the hitter recognizes it as a ball, but the change of speed. So he broke off his first curveball against Walker, but you're going to see a lot of sliders. That's his go-to pitch other than his fastball and sinker.
So 1 gone for the catcher, Francisco Cervelli. Hamill struck out 6 in the last start he made back on Monday against the Brewers. Part of a 9-5 Cubs victory that night.
He hasn't pitched too deep into the season. He hasn't been happy on several accounts of coming out, but Joe Maddon's going to watch his fastball velocity. Last time we were here, we talked about the velocity when it creeps up well over 92, 93. He's not too excited about that, which means his command's not where it needs to be. He gets the ball to the catcher, and it sneaks up on the hitter at 92.
Another 2-strike count for him. He's in front of Cervelli, a ball and 2 strikes.
So what I mean by that, he's lanky, and the easier the ball comes out of his hand, the better it's going to be for him. The more he forces velocity, the straighter the ball, the less it lessens his location, so the hitter sees it better, and unfortunately it's taken him out of the game more times than he wants to.
Jason Hamill this afternoon is making his career high 30th start of the season. And I think 2015 for him represents a really terrific bounce back story. He's probably not in line for comeback player of the year, but it seemed like the conversation around him had dropped his stock through no fault of his own. Grounded to shortstop. Rizzo, or rather Russell, has to make a very quick throw to get Cervelli for round number 2.
Cervelli got down the line really quickly, and he thinks that he might have beat that play out. For a catcher, he runs pretty good. Looks like gonna let it go. Always got to have that moment to call your video guy.
There's got to be the pregnant pause. It's better than it was last year with the tap dancing that managers would do while the video guy was contacted. It's streamlined itself nicely in 2015. Here's Pedro Alvarez now batting with 2 out and the base is empty. And a big swing for the downs pass puts him behind 0-1. Alvarez with 26 home runs and 75 runs batted in this year. He has recrafted his own value this season, moving over to play more first base than third base for the first time in his career, and still remains an important threat, an important left-handed power threat for Clint Hurdle. Two balls and a strike. But back to Hamill for a moment. Recall the conversation around him. A guy who struggled in Oakland, had changed uniforms frequently over a couple of year period. And the fact that he's bounced back to have as nice a season as he has, an ERA in the near mid 3s, He's been as important in this Cubs rotation as anybody not named Arrieta or Lester. A 1-2-3 inning for him, still scoreless at Wrigley. Is sponsored by Warner Brothers Pictures Pan, in theaters everywhere October 9th. Non-stop action, heart-pounding excitement, historic performances. Don't miss the 2015 postseason beginning October 6th. Go to MLB.com/postseason for a full schedule. Cubs headed there for the first time since 2008. Bucks headed there again. They'd love to think that they could avoid a sudden death style wild card elimination game as they've had to face each of the last 2 years. But unless they catch the Cardinals, and they will have a chance at St. Louis this week, that will in fact be their case.
Well, a big win for the Pirates, holding on to that victory last night, and the Cardinals not being able to pull out a victory last night.
A ball and a strike to count to Anthony Rizzo, who Joe Maddon told us before the game today has been his metronome, his steady. The guy who never had that huge peak and valley dip in his productivity, and the numbers certainly bear that out. Batting in the 280s, 30 and 95. It's easy to see why he'd be a Joe Maddon favorite. From a productivity and a personality standpoint.
Well, this is a young team, and this is a young future leader.
Caught looking at a called strike 3. Second punch out of the afternoon for Liriano. Speaking of personality, we know Joe Maddon has plenty of it, and the third member of our broadcast crew, John Paul Morosi, has a little bit more in that regard.
Yeah, Matt. Jason Hamill told me yesterday you can tell Joe Maddon is comfortable in his own skin. Well, a lot of that has to do with Joe Maddon's ride. You see it there, the players' lot here at Wrigley Field. Joe Maddon drove today his 1976 Dodge Tradesman 200. As you see on the screen, Matt, he has named it Cal State Fullerton after the university where a friend of his would drive him in that very car, at least an earlier version of it, for off-season workouts early in his minor league career.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that video as Starlin Castro flies to center. I mean, that van is, it's part Cheech and Chong, it's part Scooby-Doo, and it's all Joe Maddon.
Yeah, it is. I'll tell you what, you know, I don't know what his own timetable he had for this club leaving spring training, but he has done a marvelous job. Everything he's done, this club has bought into, and he's got a prime now for excitement here, at least for that one game. Who knows how long in the postseason.
Here's Jorge Soler, who picks on the first pitch and fades an infield pop for Alvarez. A nice start to the afternoon for Francisco Liriano. 6 up, 6 down against the Bucs southpaw. Start the third. Jason Hamill back to work. He'll get Jordy Mercer, the pitcher Francisco Liriano, then the top of the order Starling Marte. Back with Hall of Famer John Smoltz and J.P. Morosi, Matt Vasgersian. Middle game of a 3-game set between two teams that may be on a collision course in another week and a half or so. A ball and no strikes, the count to Jordy Mercer. On the ground to shortstop. Addison Russell's been busy so far today. And there's one guy to start the third. A reminder, aerial coverage provided by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. And a great shot from the DirecTV blimp there to see the work that's been going on at Wrigley Field for the past number of months. The outfield bleacher renovation was only a part of the story, and it is magnificent, by the way. The job that they did here at Wrigley Field, you would never know if you had come to this ballpark for the first time that the bleachers as they stand today were a brand new, quote, expansion project, because it looks completely organic to the historical nature of this ballpark.
Yeah, it really is incredible.
Liriano bounced to first for out number 2.
You see spring training. Everyone was excited about Bryant. Oh, no, he's not on the team. What are they doing? We're going to miss out by a game. The field's not ready. The bleachers aren't ready. Everything, as you said, has lined up perfectly. This season is a season that's ahead of the curve. The excitement is here. And, of course, Bryant is here to stay.
2 quick outs for Jason Hamill. And that'll bring back up the top of the order Starling Marte. We mentioned that the bleacher expansion project was only a part of the story. What's happening outside the ballpark is just as impressive, with new clubhouses being constructed. Get a really good shot of it there. That left-hand corner of your screen, right where the score is. is the next phase of the Wrigley expansion, and it promises to be just as impressive.
Well, that, and I know the players are going to be excited about walking in here next year because their clubhouse is going to be the Taj Mahal compared to what it is now. It's tight quarters, very tight on the visiting end, but the home clubhouse is going to be pretty neat, and the players I know are looking forward to it.
0-2 the count to Starling Marte. Little tapper back to Hamill, who has now retired 8 in a row. Another 1-2-3 inning and still scoreless in Chicago. On October 6th with the AL wildcard on ESPN, October 7th with the NL wildcard game on TBS, then October 8th it's game 1 of both American League Division Series only on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. We are waiting with bated breath to see where we will be, Mr. Smoltz, with still some things to be determined in the American League.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's some interesting and intriguing matchups. Teams that haven't been there in a while. Excitement in cities.
David Ross leads things off in the Chicago third. Trying to sneak a bunt attempt down on the ground. 0-1. The Rangers and Astros are in action as we speak. Texas has an early 2-0 lead there on a 2-run Mitch Moreland double. And boy, the Rangers have peaked at exactly the right time with a seemingly comfortable 5-game lead in the AL West.
It's incredible what the Blue Jays have done, what the Rangers have done, what the Mets have done. All these teams with big time trades at the deadline paying off handsomely.
Angels and Twins very much a part of that AL wildcard picture. The last week of the season is going to be a lot of fun. 0-2 the count to David Ross leading off the third. Ross, Hamill, and Russell here for the Cubs looking for their first base runner today.
You know, I'm going to be interested. I don't know that anything will come after this year, but I'm going to be interested to see how this thing shakes out with the Pirates, Cubs, and Cardinals. If there's some discussion of possibly tweaking something in the future, because you arguably could have 3 of the best records in all of baseball, yet alone the National League, and 2 are going to have to play in a 1-game playoff. I know the Pirates would wish that they could catch the Cardinals on a down year because the last couple of years have been oh so close, and they're 1-1 in their playing games, but they feel like a championship team at least this year. And talking to their manager, he is impressed in how they've embraced that.
The next 0-2 home to David Ross is swung on and missed. 3 strikeouts for Liriano to start the day. Time now for Pepsi's most thrilling historical moments of the game, and they are the National League wildcard games of the past 2 seasons. The Pirates winning one in 2013. Cueto drops the ball, etc., etc. Monsieur Russell Martin had a big day. And then in 2014, the Pirates ran into the Bumgarner buzzsaw. San Francisco won 8-0 and ran to a World Series title a year ago. One gone for Jason Hamill. I got the sense in talking to Clint Hurdle today that not only does he feel like his team's a little wiser, a little more experienced, having gone through what they have the past 2 wild cards, there's a little bit of a chip there.
Yeah, there's a bad taste in the mouth because of what they haven't been able to do and how good they've been. And again, it boils down to not being able to knock off the Cardinals, which they still have a chance to do. I got to believe their eyes are all over that, especially after last night, the Cardinals losing, putting it back into a nice 3-game deficit.
A swing and a miss by Hamill. It's 4 strikeouts for Liriano through his first 8 at-bats at the game.
Well, you look at this record, most wins, only the Cardinals. And the Cardinals have done a nice job of just year in and year out being the class of the National League and withstanding their injuries. Of course, the Pirates now becoming relevant after a long gap of not being in the postseason. This will be 3 in a row.
You know, that's more of a big picture slice as Addison Russell steps in. As far as this season's concerned, the Pirates have the best record in baseball since May 7th. Here's the first Cubs base runner of the day. Little looper out to left center by their number 9 hitter. I mean, does that scream to you about the need to revise the system? A team like the Pirates not really being rewarded for being as good as they've been this year in the last couple.
I would love it. You know, I've been pushing for it and trying to create that excitement in 2 different times of the season with the first half, second half. And if you went with that theory, the second half, the Cubs would actually have a 1-game lead over both the Pirates and the Cardinals. But I think something down the road is going to happen to either reseed the teams because of the scenario of the 1-game playoffs, meaning like an NBA type style where the divisions and then you have the seeding of the records. So
right
there, I think
1 versus 8,
right,
blah blah blah.
Right.
0-1 the count to Dexter Fowler, one of the 4 strikeout victims that Liriano hung his first time through the order. Well, here's the thing with the Pirates. It should never happen that a team in either league could win 90 or more games in 3 straight seasons and not ever win a division in that span.
Yeah.
And the Pirates are trying to avoid being the first ever National League team to hold that futility record. I think it does need to be addressed. And this team shouldn't have to fight for their lives every year after winning 90 or more games.
Well, more importantly, you only have to rely on 1 game instead of a series, which is another subject.
Fowler toward the shortstop hole. Great play by Jordy Mercer. Throw to second is too late, however. Nobody did anything wrong there. It was just a matter of Addison Russell beating the throw to second base.
Yeah, it was a matter of Russell not assuming anything, getting a great jump and anticipating this play that he wasn't going to be thrown out at second. No chance to get Fowler, but Russell's head up, 2 out, going to get an aggressive lead, go on contact, and a great try by Mercer.
So a flare and an infield single have put runners aboard with 2 gone, and it's given Austin Jackson an opportunity here in the 3rd.
You know, we talked about all the moves some of these other teams have made. It's the sneaky, quiet, under the radar moves that the Cubs have made, but their ability to just not stand pat. They've added a lot of different relievers. They've tried a different lineups, as Joe Madden has talked to us. They're a progression. They're working through their ability. I don't think there's a known right now. If you ask Joe Maddon what his postseason roster would be or look like or lineup, there's still a lot of moving parts to be decided here in the next 8 or 9 games.
Yeah. So much of it, of course, is opponent specific. Hot for Mercer. Fowler retired to strand a pair. We played 3 complete this afternoon. The Cubs and Pirates still no score. Awarded rewarding Jeep Grand Cherokee. And by Head & Shoulders. Shoulders were made for greatness, not dandruff. Just a picture postcard afternoon all along Lake Michigan and here in the Chicagoland area. Fans excited about their Cubs, as folks in the Steel City are about their Pirates. Welcome back. No scores so far. Travis Snider has the Pirates' only hit of the afternoon. A seeing eye double with 1 away in the first. He leads things off here in the top of the 4th. Snider, McCutchen, and Ramirez.
When I look at these two teams, they represent 2 of the better athletic teams. You talk about the outfields and the infield, the athleticism of these younger players, and the quick development has been why these young players for the Chicago Cubs are not fazed by the moment. And they're about to get to a big moment in about 8 days.
Hamels 1-2 pitch to Snider, fouled back. Yeah, Joe Maddon told us yesterday he started a handful of rookies. Loved the at-bats, loved the presence, as he has for most of the season. Sure, there was a learning curve, but it was a lot steeper than some may have imagined. Here's the next 1-2 to Snider.
And they've already gone through their individual slumps and peaks and valleys, but I think at this point they're all playing the type of baseball you want your team to be playing headed into a postseason game.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Travis Snider.
The challenge will be is the position players he'll be able to rest some. Joe Maddon for the Cubs. The pitching will determine whether they have a chance for that home field or not. For the Pirates, I think they're going to be all system go, and they've rested a couple guys who have tweaked some things and are hurting, but they're in a nice situation where you pretty much think you can secure home field for the one game, but possibly chase down the Cardinals. Last year, of course, didn't work out for them. A lot of people questioned the strategy of what they were trying to do and the mathematical equation of doing that, winning that division last year.
Yeah, for folks who don't recall, the Pirates did make a run at trying to win the division and avoid the one-game wild card contest. When it arrived, it was Edinson Volquez that was chosen to pitch. And, you know, Clint Hurdle had a lot of options. They had a strategy. It happened not to work. But guess what? Nobody was going to beat Madison Bumgarner on that day. And a called strike 3 taken by Snyder. Speaking of the Pirates manager, John Palmarosi had a chance to visit with him between innings.
Clint, Liriano had to pitch with base runners on base there for the first time in that last inning. How impressed were you that he kept his rhythm, kept his poise there out of the stretch?
He's done it before. Every once in a while, guys get on. He's got some experience with it. You know, it's a fun day. It's a beautiful day. You are asking a lot of hitters to come out and face guys that are spinning the ball and got good sink on the ball. It's not even 1 o'clock yet. Some guys got 2 at-bats.
Clint, speaking about this atmosphere, this National League Central might be the best division we have ever seen, possibly 3 best records coming out of it. How much have you enjoyed that competition this year?
It's been a blast. Iron sharpens iron, and I do believe that the competition level that we have in the Central is going to make all of us better. And, you know, you got to show up every day and play every pitch.
Thanks, Clint. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, Clint makes a good point. You know, it's early. It's not even 1 o'clock. Some guys have had 2 at-bats, and there have already been a bunch of punch-outs in this game. 6 strikeouts combined, and we're only 1 out into the 4th inning today. Something tells me that was not your takeaway from that interview, though. You're thinking about the Central.
No, I liked what he had to say. I mean, a mid-afternoon game yesterday. They're going to have a night game tomorrow. A lot of moving parts when you come to Chicago. You got to be ready. It changes your what you're used to. You know, you don't play a lot of day games throughout the year, and Chicago brings about a time of change and excitement when you get to the ballpark. But you got to be ready to go a lot earlier than you normally would, especially with the time change. But speaking of which, next Sunday, every game for the first time we played at the same time.
Yeah, that's exciting. That was a great development and a fantastic decision made by the league office to avoid what happened last year.
Yeah, because that's exactly what the Pirates are facing. Cardinals on the West Coast, going to start Wainwright.
McCutchen with a drive to deep center. Fowler gives it kind of a token look. It's into the ivy. A ground rule double and Ivy ground rule double for Andrew McCutchen here with 1 out in the 4th.
Well, you see him put his head down. He crushed this baseball. That's what the wind blowing in did to this ball. Out of every ballpark, period. I know you hear that a lot, but this ball was crushed. You hear it off the sound. The pitcher knows. The outfielder doesn't really make a move because the ball's well over his head. Tremendous balance, quick hands. Not a huge guy, but boy, does he play huge in the batter's box. And this ball disappears. At first, I thought it might have been in the basket. The ivy's thick this time of the year.
Second extra base hit of the afternoon for Pittsburgh. Here's Aramis Ramirez now with a chance to play to run. But back to your point. Cardinals on the West Coast. They had watched what happened with those teams, the Pirates, trying to catch them last year. They were able to pull Adam Wainwright. They didn't need him to start. And it gave one team, the Cardinals in that case, a competitive advantage that the league tried to neutralize by making everybody start at the same time this final Sunday this year. And it's a terrific decision.
It is a terrific decision. And I tell you, it may not come down to it this year, but let's just say it does. The Pirates are going to do everything they can to win a division because it means that much more. They would never have had to face Bumgarner last year, and who knows how it plays out. And then it becomes that balance of 3 games to go and the mathematical equation of what are you trying to get after. That man right there, Cole, is as nasty as it gets. Everyone would assume he's going to pitch that one game if it comes down to it, as would Arrieta pitch for the Cubs. The Cubs have less decisions to have to worry about. They're only trying to chase down the Pirates for home field advantage.
There's Neil Walker now after Ramirez popped out, and Walker takes strike 1. Switch hitting second baseman caught looking at strike 3 in his previous plate appearance today. See, I contend, and I don't want to sound like belly aching too much about the current format, but the Pirates are built as you do construct a team to win a series. On a hop for Castro. We'll continue those thoughts as we continue today. Another 0 hung by Jason Hamill. At bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy live look-ins, highlights, replay reviews, scores, StatCast, and more. Get the MLB.com at bat app now. Francisco Liriano off to an impressive start this afternoon. 4 strikeouts among his 3 scoreless innings against the Cubs. Bottom of the 4th, it'll be Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, and Starlin Castro for Chicago. Chris Bryant taking a big pass at the first pitch. Usually has success when he does that. Did you know, Mr. Smoltz? I'll go Stevie Stats on you here. That Chris Bryant is the best first pitch hitter in baseball.
I would think so. Over 500, I believe, right?
You are correct.
Yeah, that's a guy that you circle that lineup card when you're pitching and you're going through the mind of the lineup and saying that guy right there is not going to get too many first pitch fastballs.
Into left center field, and Bryant is aboard for Rizzo. He's thinking about 2. The throw into second, not in time. A leadoff double for Chris Bryant in the 4th.
Well, this guy just keeps getting better, even though he's a rookie. He's playing like a veteran here down the stretch. Not conceding anything. Legging out a double second half. He's been pretty good.
His 31st double of the year, tops among all major league rookies. And in terms of Cubs franchise history, he has set rookie records for home runs, runs batted in, extra base hits, add another one there, and total bases.
It's the guy you want up if you're the Cubs with runners in scoring position. Thrives in these situations, locks in better than most. Both Rizzo and Bryant doing an excellent job when they've given the opportunity with runners in scoring position. look for him to do a couple things. One, he wants to drive him in, but he'd love to at least get him to third base if he doesn't get a hit.
RBI opportunity for Rizzo. He'd love to use this opportunity as a chance to snap out of a 1 for 13 as he lays off a tough pitch to run the count to 2-0.
Typically, most pitchers when facing Bryant are going to try to crowd him, but you'd be doing him a favor here if you crowd him. Easier to pull, but he's been very disciplined and doesn't expand the zone as do some of his teammates.
2 balls and a strike.
That will come into play come postseason, and that being the strikeout factor of the Cubs. They strike out a lot. They struck out twice in a crucial situation yesterday against a great closer. That's what you're going to have to live with this type of lineup, the way it's created and the youth.
On the ground to the right side of the infield for Walker. Bryant to third with 1 away. Time for a game break. Let's go to Mike Hill in our Los Angeles studios. Mike, thanks. That's a nice matchup there at Rogers Center today. Rays and Jays. Chris Archer, David Price, the pupil and the student, if you will.
The Cy Young, David Price, in my opinion.
I think so.
Yeah, I think he cements it today. You know, if I was part of evaluating players, that at bat by Rizzo, I would have some kind of evaluated point system that would increase his value for that innocent ground ball. It doesn't show up, right? It's an out. But I would love to have that kind of player to put our team in a better situation, getting him over to third with less than 2 outs.
It's Bryant who is at third with less than 2 outs for Starlin Castro. Hit safely in 10 of his last 13, again with the infield in. Liriano misses in. And it's a ball and a strike.
And what he's done is he's put his teammate in a position where he doesn't have to get a hit to drive in the run. Obviously a fly ball of any length. Ground ball might be difficult. The infield's in early, so you can tell what manager's strategy. When the wind's blowing in Chicago, these type of scenarios play out more than an average game where they wouldn't play them back.
1-2. More of a challenge here for Castro. This is when Liriano has been at his nastiest today and throughout the regular season. Opponents hit just 100 in 2 strike counts against Francisco Liriano.
The ability to throw that changeup or slider back foot.
Castro lines out to short right. Snyder makes the catch, and that keeps Bryant at third with now 2 away.
He hung a pitch and got away with it because Snyder was playing pretty shallow because of that wind and was able to come in on a soft liner.
Fans reacting to the throw by Snyder, which was significantly offline, and the third base coaching box. If Gary Jones had known that, sure, maybe he'd have given it a shot, but the Cubs play it safe. You can never anticipate a throw being 5 yards up the line. So 2 gone now. Bryant still at third for Jorge Soler, who popped in foul territory his first time up today. I want to put a little context on that Liriano number, by the way. To limit opponents to a 100 batting average in 2 strike counts, that's the lowest in a single season since Pedro Martinez in 2002. Sure, it's a pitcher favorable count, the 2 strike count, but to the degree of limiting opponents to a 100 batting average, we don't see that very often.
No, and that's being so good with the secondary pitches for the most part. That changeup you saw acts like a screwball, and that slider that disappears. But when they're down, the hitters just don't pick it up, and weak outs or strikeouts are the result.
A ball and a strike to Jorge Soler for 1-2 now. 191 punch-outs this year for Liriano, creeping up on that 200 mark with 5 this afternoon. A swing and a miss by Soler, and the leadoff double stranded in the Chicago fourth. MLB.TV Premium. Watch every out-of-market game live. Visit MLB.TV today. Francisco Cervelli leads off in a scoreless game, top half of the fifth. Cervelli, Alvarez, and Mercer here against Jason Hamill.
Cervelli's done a great job. Sometimes in a clubhouse, guys can be there long enough to leave.
Fly ball out into the right field corner. Soler giving it a look, and it's out of play.
Leave their mark, and Martin did that, I believe. In this organization, they were wondering how would they replace him, and he's gone up to Toronto and done an incredible job and led Toronto into the playoffs. But this catching core and this team has built themselves around a unity that they believe in each other, and they certainly enjoy everybody having success. And you can see right there what catchers have done. Second.
Yeah, only Buster Posey has a higher batting average among major league catchers than Cervelli's game start .301. His catcher ERA is one of the top 5 in baseball. Of course, that speaks just as highly to the quality staff that he receives. Pedro Alvarez waits next, and Cervelli checks the swing.
A lot of people thought that might be a void, though, when Martin left, as they weren't able to re-sign him, and he got a big contract with Toronto. With Pittsburgh has not missed a beat at all in that area in their catchers.
I think the Pirates' whole formula there is just whoever leaves the Yankees, sign him.
Yeah.
Martin, they trade for Cervelli. That's a deal that's worked out well for both teams. And Cervelli's aboard to start the visitors' fifth. Between innings, J.P. Morosi had a chance to visit with Cubs manager Joe Maddon.
Joe, we showed a graphic that last inning about where Chris Bryant ranks among all-time Cubs rookies. How would you describe his continued evolution here this season?
It's been pretty consistent overall. He had a little bit of a rough patch in the middle. Started out well. He's coming on very strongly right now. You saw the hitting, but he's one of the best base runners in the National League, and his defense has been outstanding too.
Joe, a great moment before this game. Your team got a chance to thank the fans after that video clinching a postseason berth. What did that mean to your team?
A lot. I mean, we wish we could have done it on the field for our fans yesterday. It didn't work out that way, but we'll take it. Our fans are spectacular. You see this ballpark packed once again. We've even had a makeup game on a Monday against Cleveland that drew 38,000 people. They're pretty spectacular.
Thanks, Joe. Best of luck.
My pleasure, buddy. Thanks.
And I think another makeup game, if I don't have my P's and Q's wrong here, this is the Cubs' final homestand of the season. They have a makeup game on Monday. Another one coming. Pedro Alvarez with a base hit into right center field. So back-to-back singles have opened the Pittsburgh half of the fifth, and it's the first time all afternoon that the Pirates have put multiple base runners aboard.
Well, if there's a time to give up back-to-back base hits, it's in the bottom of the order. But this guy becomes a crucial at bat. With the pitcher behind Jody Mercer, they won't be bunting in this situation more than likely. So you have opportunity to pitch to him, potentially get a ground ball double play, which he's gotten a lot of ground balls, and wiggle your way in the National League out of a potentially big inning that starts with 2 singles.
Granted, a lot of the numbers came in that 4-game sweep in Denver, but the Pirates lineup has been loud lately. Last 6 games hitting .335, 40 runs scored. And here is Jody Mercer now with first and second and nobody out in the top of the fifth. Among the storylines for the Pirates this year has been overcoming significant injuries, which they have done. Mercer was one of those who previously had lost some time to the DL. Their all-world utility superstar Josh Harrison lost significant time this year. There's a swing and a big drive out to left. Jackson giving it a look, and that one is gone. Just the third of the year for Jody Mercer, but it is a big one. It delivers the Pirates the first blow today, 3-0 Pittsburgh.
Well, unfortunately, getting behind 1-0, he lays one in there, gets one up, and that ball is hit pretty good. Of course, left field, the alleyway's short there, and it was the wind couldn't do much with this ball.
So now Francisco Liriano pleased to see a 3-run lead delivered before he singles into right field. Single, 3-run homer single is how the fifth inning begins against Jason Hamill.
Yeah, it takes a lot of the juice out of the crowd right there with Liriano on a roll, and he's just got the theme with the whole Pirates. Swing first pitch, get the pitch you want, be aggressive. Paying off here in the fifth.
And it looks like we're not long before seeing some bullpen activity for Chicago as Starling Marte digs in now with a runner at first, nobody out, and 3 runs in. A first pitch slider's in for a strike. Marte has been hot in the month of September. Over his last 6 in particular, where he started the day, 15 for his last 29. It's another Pirate that lost a little time to the DL this year, and I was getting ready to talk about the latest of those losses being Jung-Ho Kang, who was lost for the season after a second base collision in a game against the Cubs earlier this month. And Clint Hurdle said on that loss, as he had with the previous losses, that we have players that can step in. He doesn't want to be without anybody, but at the same time he feels pretty good about what he has up the middle in Kang's absence, notably Jody Mercer, who's hit the 3-run home run today.
Next man up mentality with what they've created over there, and the unity of not only the player council and leaders that they've put out in front to handle a lot of situations.
That's into the left field corner and well hit. And Starling Marte has an extra base hit, or stops at first with a base hit because Liriano didn't want a chance getting into third. and test Austin Jackson. So it's a well-struck single by Starling Marte.
Yeah, that would have definitely been double, but Liriano was taking base to base here in this situation. Didn't get a good read in the beginning, and then at this point wasn't going to force the action with a 3-0 lead. And
he's still looking out of that corner, saying, "I can't believe I didn't get to third on that ball." And now David Ross goes out to chat with Hamill, who has just kind of had much different results here all of a sudden, like in the fifth. I mean, he showed no such signs of struggling through the first four, and is yet to retire a batter here in the fifth. The right-hander Justin Grimm is up in the bullpen. Here comes Joe Maddon, and that's going to be all for his starter. Joe has seen enough. It would have been hard to see a fifth-inning pitching change coming the way Hamill kind of breezed through the first four, but that is in fact what's happened this afternoon. A pitching change, and we'll be right back. Using hashtag MLB Memory Bank. A lot of those memories being created for young fans this season here at Wrigley Field. After a pitching change, Jason Hamill hits a rather abrupt wall here in the fifth. 4 singles and a 3-run home run yields in favor of right-hander Justin Grimm, who goes to work on Travis Snyder with runners at first and second and nobody out.
Grimm has been able to strike out more batters than innings pitched. See the numbers, 65 and 24. He's going to need a few of those here to get out of this jam. Oh, man, where was that pitch? Is what he was thinking.
Yeah.
Along with me.
2 balls and no strikes, the count from Grimm to Snyder. Here's one that picks up the inside corner, 2-1. Justin Grimm was in a nice little stretch, having tossed 15 scoreless innings over 17 outings before being knocked around a little bit in the month of September. He's given up 12 runs over his last 12 outings. And he's got some guys hot behind him too. Clayton Richard and Trevor Cahill.
Well, there's 18 pitchers on the Cubs roster right now, so there's a wonderful.
Could be one of those days.
Could be one of those days. Didn't look like it, as you mentioned. Hamill was cruising, got a lot of quick outs, and unfortunately with the rhythm of his fastball and slider combination, when they got a couple quick hits, the ball elevated, and the 3-run homer.
Liriano and Marte aboard, and the 2-2 to Snyder. He tried to check his swing on the appeal. They say he did so successfully to run the count full.
You know, pitching can be a lot like golf. You could be having a great round, and one bad swing or one bad moment leads to another thing of where you change your mindset and your pitch selection and your location, and that's really what happened for Hamill.
And kind of atypical for Jason Hamill to struggle second, third time through a lineup. That's usually when he gets a little better, at least statistically this season. That's what's happened for him as Snyder finally succumbs to strikeout hung for Grimm, and that's the first out of the inning.
Really nice pitch in the count. Curveball, 12-6 kind of action, late break. Do a lot of quality pitches that at bat coming out of the mound. For Justin Grimm, he didn't get the ample time in the pen. He got up quick and he utilized all his pitches in the commercial break as fast as I've seen in a while, trying to make up for maybe the hurriedness of which Joe Maddon needed him to get ready.
Here's McCutchen now. He has doubled and grounded to shortstop today. 1 out, first and second with 3 runs in, and McCutchen takes a strike. You know, we made the point when we went on the air, John, that Jason Hamill's been just as important as anybody to this Cubs rotation not named Lester or Arrieta. The unquestioned 1 and 2 here. And I guess there is some discussion there as to who's 1 and who's 2, because a lot of people feel differently about that. Arrieta's had the better season, but Lester's the guy that you brought in on a huge deal who's been there before. Beyond that, there is, I guess, a lot to be determined in terms of a postseason rotation.
Yeah, honestly, the Cubs are one more starter away from making a deep run. So you think about what they're trying to do. They have to win those games of those 2 guys. I mean, they have to. So in this series, there's a lot of pressure on those 2 guys, and you're hoping to mix and match your 3rd and 4th starters with your bullpen and try to eke out a game if you can. Because on the surface, 1 and 2 could match up against anybody's 1 and 2 in the National League or the American League for that matter.
That one misses down and away to McCutchen to make it a 2-2 count now.
John Lester's had a really strange year. It's not statistically accurate. He's pitched much better than his results, but his seasoned veteran postseason experience is going to really help the Cubs if they can get by that first game and get into a series.
Grimm's 2-2. Full count now. Back-to-back full counts right out of the gate against Justin Grimm.
People don't understand sitting at home or just following a team. This team hasn't been in the playoffs in a while. The Cubs, the atmosphere, the pressure. You want to approach it like just another game, but it isn't just another game. The volume of everything, the intensity of everything goes up. And certain guys in their internal clock can slow it down. Some guys can't. That's what you find out in the postseason.
Full count pitch to McCutchen, misses up and in. Ball 4 to load the bases with 1 gone. Let's bring J.P. Morosi on this discussion. J.P., beyond the 2 guys we mentioned, Lester and Arrieta, there are certainly options. Experienced veteran guys like Hamill, like Dan Herron. What would we be able to guess about a Cubs postseason rotation at this point?
Well, Matt, I think right now the Cubs would love to have Jason Hamill as their Game 2 starter in the division series because, of course, remember, they'd have to have Lester pitch Game 1 if Arrieta wins the wild card game.
That's a good point, that somebody gets burned in a wild card game. You hope to have that problem by moving out of it, as Joe Maddon will go to the bullpen once again. Second pitching change of the inning. We'll be right back. who have clinched a postseason appearance of some kind, and that same could be said of the Dodgers and Mets should things fall their way tonight. Dodgers have a magic number of 2. The Mets 1. Mets just need to win a ball game or have the Nationals lose a ball game, and they've sealed up a spot. More clarity to the 2015 postseason with every passing day here in late September. The pitching change for the Cubs finds the veteran right-hander Trevor Cahill throwing one pitch, getting an out, and keeping the bases jammed here in the 5th. Aramis Ramirez with a first pitch swing, and there are 2 gone.
Cahill's bounced around. He got traded out of spring training from the Diamondbacks to the Braves. Didn't go as well with the Braves, but he's done a nice job with the Cubs. He's been able to have that bowling ball sinker, which they think will play well here, and that's what you need when the wind's blowing out. But he gets a big out right there, and he's hoping to just probably get one more before Joe Maddon makes probably a slew of pitching changes if they're going to have a chance to win this game.
Yeah, one would imagine that this is the second of a number of changes we'll see on the mound for the Cubs. Here's Neil Walker now. In from the left side once again. 0 for 2 so far this afternoon. Bases loaded for him with 3 runs in, 2 away here in the 5th. You know, we went to the break with JP talking about what Joe Maddon would like in terms of a postseason rotation. Would have liked if perhaps Jason Hamill could have been a little sharper today, could have been a little sharper since the All-Star break to give him that additional veteran option. That's still not to say that won't happen. But I think there's cause for concern when you hit the wall as Hamill seemed to have hit today a little early.
Yeah, fair or unfair, you see that ball disappear right there. That's an incredible sinker. Fair or unfair, last impressions sometimes cloud the judgment. And what I mean by that is we see this bowling ball just disappear sinker. You sometimes start to struggle with, you know, is this the guy we have now, or will he snap out of it? And I think that plays, unfortunately, into a manager's decision when you don't have locked down 3 or 4 guys. For example, the Mets have interesting dilemmas, even though they know they're 4 guys.
Yeah.
It's not a question.
Right.
Their dilemmas are different.
I think you could say the same of the Pirates. They know they're 4 guys, but there's still decisions that need to be made there. That one bounces away, but David Ross does a nice job to keep it in front of him.
Just overcooked that sinker, really trying to have the bottom drop out.
So 2 balls and 2 strikes to Neil Walker. We'll talk about the options that Clint Hurdle has in the Pirates postseason rotation in just a bit. Trevor Cahill trying to get out of this tight spot and just misses inside. Full count now, 3-2.
See Walker with his knee get buckled, knew it was a last-minute decision that hopefully the umpire would see in his favor. Good chance you can go right back in there and try and get that same reaction and get a strike 3 call.
Liriano, Marte, and McCutchen aboard with 3 runs in and 2 gone. Full count pitch to Neil Walker on its way. And a swing and a miss. 3 in the Bucks' 5th, but it certainly could have been worse. Trevor Cahill out of any further trouble. It's 3-0 Pirates. find new roads. And a reminder, don't miss the non-stop action, heart-pounding excitement, and historic performances. The 2015 postseason. It begins October 6th. Go to MLB.com/postseason for a full schedule. Well, the Cubs in a 3-0 hole, and Francisco Liriano is a continuing problem for them this afternoon. He has been terrific with 5 strikeouts, scattered 3 hits, and goes to work on the bottom of the order here in the bottom of the 5th.
Yeah, let's see if his rhythm stays the same. 26 minutes ago, he was last out there pitching. So usually that results in a favorable scenario where your team gives you some runs, which they did. But he was also on the bases for quite of that time, where 2 pitching changes and on your feet. So let's just see how he responds to whether he has that same rhythm or not.
New right fielder Jeff Decker takes over out there for Travis Snyder. And here's David Ross to lead things off in the 5th. Picks on the first pitch, rolls it out to shortstop for Jordy Mercer, 1 away. Well, July 31st, of course, is a day that impacts a lot of pennant races, and this year was no different. David Price to the Jays. Maybe the biggest of them all. Yoenis Cespedes had an immediate and profound impact on the Mets lineup. Ben Zobrist the same to the Royals. And the one that might have been more below the radar was Jay Happ coming to the Pirates from Seattle. Completely turned his season around and has been a different Jay Happ than the one that began the year with the Mariners. With 1 gone, Matt Caesar is the pinch hitter, and he sends a fly ball out to Decker. So with Happ being able to accomplish what he has as a Pirate and making that Bucks rotation all the deeper, has that changed, in your view, the way the Pirates would line up in a postseason series?
Yeah, and that's the frustration if you're a Pirates fan or even a Pirates player. I mean, you compete in a series. You're built for a series. The problem is you got to try to get by 1 game first. The Cubs didn't do themselves any favor by swinging at the first 2 pitches, by the way. There's 2 outs. At least Addison Russell took 1 there. But I agree with you. The depth of their rotation puts them in the elite category for me, and sustaining a long run, and that's the goal, right? For the Cubs, get in the playoffs, learn from all this experience you're going to gain. For the Pirates, they're ready to make a run. They would like to go deeper. They'd like to go beyond just that first series or the next series they might play.
Ball and 2 strikes to count to Addison Russell. Yeah, it's been unfortunate. It's the way that it's kind of gone in Pittsburgh, that they really haven't had a chance to open up the whole toolbox in a series. Yes, they were able to get by the Reds in that 2013 wild card game, but no further than that. And I agree with you. There is such depth on Clint Hurdle's staff with Happ's emergence. Even before Happ came over here, there were many of us that said, look, between Cole, Liriano, Burnett, and then Locke and Morton, I mean, that's probably the best quote-unquote bottom of a rotation in the National League. Those were guys that could be in the middle of a rotation someplace else. They were deep.
And they strengthened their bullpen. They've got experience. They've got a lockdown closer. They've got 7, 8, 9. They've got a fireballer. Cole in the front end of the rotation. They got finesse. And let's not kid you, he's got 95, and Liriano does his fastball. But they are confident, a little bit cocky, a little bit of chip on their shoulder, and they are not a team you want to play in a best of 5, yet alone best of 7.
Top of the order, Dexter Fowler now after the 2-out walk to Addison Russell. Well, here's my next question for you. Is it opponent specific, the decision who would start a game 1 for you? Like, forget about the wild card game. Let's forget about that. If you're just picking your guy to start a series, you didn't have to go through the play-in to get there. Is it a slam dunk that it's Cole?
Yeah.
Or do you consider Liriano?
No, it's slam dunk that it's Cole. And you come right back with Liriano, and that gives you a good mix of what this hitters are going to have to face on back-to-back days, you know.
And a big swing and a miss by Fowler.
And then I think after that you could set up however you want. I'm a big you know, in a best of 5, you're basically looking at whoever's starting your game, 1, you know you're going to have him game 5. That's the way you look at it. And 2, can you beat that guy twice in a best of 5?
Fowler puts it in play for Ramirez. And that retires the side. Nothing comes of the 2-out walk. We played 5 complete. The Pirates on top 3-zip. The official soft drink of Major League Baseball, and by DraftKings, free 1-week fantasy football at DraftKings.com. Major League Baseball's postseason begins on October 6th with the AL wildcard game on ESPN, October 7th with the NL wildcard contest on TBS. Then on October 8th, it's game 1 of both American League Division Series only on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
I'm looking forward to it. I always do. There's some cities that are going to be on fire for waiting and waiting. Toronto's waited 22 years.
Yeah.
It seems like the Cubs have been waiting for 22 years, but it hasn't been that long. They're going to get a chance to experience it, whether it's here or in Pittsburgh or possibly St. Louis.
Clayton Richard is the new Cubs pitcher. He'll work to Francisco Cervelli, Pedro Alvarez, and Jordy Mercer.
Richards has done a nice job for Joe Madden. Of course, Pittsburgh signed him. This comeback for Richards after multiple surgeries. And they just didn't have the ability to keep him based on the contract that he had. And the move up meant that as soon as his time came, they didn't have a spot for him on the roster. The Cubs grabbed him, worked him out of trade.
Yeah, you and I were here on July 4th to watch him pitch in his Cubs debut. Threw the ball really well that afternoon. Pitched into the 7th inning to beat the Miami Marlins. It's a ball and 2 strikes to Francisco Cervelli.
And the Cubs used him starting a little bit, but now primarily out of the pen, and they're not afraid to use him in really most situations. Now they're just trying to gain some innings.
Yeah, Richard, of course, has experience on the other side of town. Over on the south side with the Sox. The majority of his major league time has come in San Diego. And again, coming back off some arm problems and recrafting himself as a left-handed reliever here in his new life as a Cub. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Cervelli.
But he talked about his experience in the Pittsburgh organization, and Ray Searage does a great job and probably doesn't get enough credit, but their organization as a whole has, if you want to call them reclamation projects or guys coming back getting their careers back on track. They've been able to prove their track record is pretty good, and guys have turned it around there.
Yeah, I think it's fair to count Richard as one of those guys, even though he didn't get to the big league level with the Bucks in this comeback of his. And there's ball 4 to Cervelli. Leadoff hitter aboard in the 6th. The reminder, today's game is brought to you by Chevrolet, the official vehicle of Major League Baseball. I think so much of this Pirates staff could be considered a Ray Searage quote-unquote reclamation project. We talked about Liriano, how good he's been today and all year. Liriano is en route to his lowest career ERA season. A.J. Burnett was an all-star for the first time in his career this season. Mark Melancon leads the world in saves this year. And a swing and a miss by Pedro Alvarez.
They have a philosophy. They have something they're looking for with each pitcher. It's usually a unique, kind of like a mechanic would look at a car. You're looking at the mechanics of a pitcher and seeing what could be better. But they like to pitch inside. They like balls on the ground. They lead the world in hits batsmen, both sides of the environment.
Back to Richard, who grabs it to second for 1. But a problem on the transfer will find Alvarez safe at first base. Addison Russell had that ball on him in a hurry and just couldn't find the handle on it to get it back over to first.
Pitcher delivers it perfectly, and you could see in the transfer that he just lost the ball. Gets out of the way of the runner.
Be a pinch runner at first for Pedro Alvarez. Sean Rodriguez will take his spot aboard. And with 1 out and 1 on, it'll bring back Jordy Mercer, whose 3-run home run in the 5th still stands as the difference.
But back on their philosophy, it is a growing, I don't want to say concern, but one leads to the other. You lead the league in hits batsmen, your team is going to be hit a lot.
Yeah.
And your players are going to suffer the wrath of that dubious statistic.
There's a strike to Mercer.
There's the 86. Hit by pitches.
Yeah, there's been a lot of chippiness within the division. And the Pirates the last couple of years have had higher totals with regards to their season series against the Cardinals and the Reds. It's happened here with the Cubs to a lesser degree. I know Anthony Rizzo's been involved in a lot of that. Anthony Rizzo, by the way, has a chance to be the first guy to hit 30 home runs and be hit by 30 pitches since Don Baylor in the middle 80s. In fact, I think Baylor's the only guy that holds that distinction.
Yeah, well, Baylor's a big man, and so is Rizzo, and Rizzo's right on top of the plate. He is taking away that part of the plate and doesn't mind if that's the case. They're going to pitch him in.
Ball and 2 strikes, the count to Jordy Mercer, who will step out to give it a little thinking time.
But where he minds it, and I understand, is when an accident happens to Holiday in this previous series with the Cardinals. Yeah. There was a little bit of back and forth that the Joe Madden and Cubs took not too kindly to the reaction towards Rizzo and a ball that was actually thrown behind him towards his knee. And I think that the next day had a carryover effect where Rondon and Joe Madden got thrown out in a big series with the leadoff hitter being hit. The Cubs went on to close that game out, a 1-run victory, but Joe Madden quickly is going to instill that, you know, we're not going to take that kind of, we're not going to be pushed around. He had that same mindset with the Rays.
Back up the middle, perhaps a chance. No, they'll settle with the 1 out as Mercer's retired Rodriguez to second. This was Joe Madden trying to defuse that situation earlier this year.
Really disappointed in what the Cardinals did right there. Absolutely. We did not hit their guy on purpose at all. That was an absolute mistake. There's no malicious intent whatsoever on Dan Herron's part. None. So to become this vigilante group that all of a sudden wants to get their own pound of flesh, that's absolutely insane and ridiculous and wrong. I mean, and furthermore, we don't start stuff, but we will stop stuff. We will end stuff.
Yeah, just over a week ago, Joe Maddon with some very stern words, and you don't hear Joe in a post-game setting as aggravated as he was after that incident. Here's Liriano now with 2 away and a runner at second. And I think Joe's point was, you know, in the case that we're doing a tit-for-tat thing, you wouldn't have heard me protest like this, but this was not that.
Yeah. You got to consider the situation, and you could see the pitcher's reaction when the ball got away to Holiday. You never want to have anybody get hit, let alone in the head. And I think that escalated to, okay, here's why we're going to handle it from the other side. And Joe would not take any of that with his team, and dealt with it not only in the press conference, but that later that game.
And Liriano goes down on strikes. Nothing comes of that leadoff walk. Still 3-0 Pirates. Social media accounts buzzing with news of a postseason appearance yesterday after the late doings on the West Coast, the Giants' loss, and the Cubs' social media accounts happy and ready to spend all that good cheer all across the interweb. Tag your posts with hashtag #SwingDataData, and T-Mobile will keep the conversation going data strong all season long. Austin Jackson leads things off in the home half of the 6th. Back with John Smoltz, J.P. Morosi, Matt Vasgersian, and a new first baseman, Sean Rodriguez, stays out there for Pedro Alvarez, for whom he pinch ran earlier.
Am I one of the only guys in the world that doesn't know anything about social media?
You and me.
So we're all right. We're in it together. So that was.
I know the kids love it. The interweb.
I don't understand it.
I know I caught you playing Pong on your phone the other day. I don't know where you found that. This guy's been impressive today, Francisco Liriano. He has punched out 5. He scattered 3 hits and walked a batter. really hasn't been in trouble all afternoon.
Well, and the biggest thing is, and this is going to be a theme moving forward, okay, do you have to throw a lot of strikes against the Chicago Cubs? No. So if you make quality pitches and you get ahead of them, you're going to have an opportunity to be very successful when the stress of throwing pitches out of the zone is there for you. That stress is gone.
Jackson lines to center, run down out there by Andrew McCutchen, who had a great read on that ball and made a fine catch.
So here's what I mean real quick about that as we watch a great catch. This pitch elevated. Jackson squares it up. There's the athleticism of the Pittsburgh Pirates outfield. When you make bad pitches against a Cubs team, you're going to get crushed with home runs. When you make good pitches, you're going to have a high strikeout total. So in tense situations, runners on second, 1 out, or runner on third, 1 out, when contact is needed.
There's a Chris Bryant base hit with 1 away. Hold that thought as we've got a game break between the Rangers and Astros, and we check in with Mike Hill in our Los Angeles studios. Mike. We will do that. Astros not going away quietly, folks. So many people are quick to assign the Rangers momentum toward a division title, and the Astros still in a pretty good spot to control their own fate. If not for a division crown, then certainly for a wild card chair. Here's Anthony Rizzo now with 1 out and 1 on.
So with the lineup, when you're attacking a lineup like the Cubs, you know you've got to make good pitches. This is the one guy you can't mess around with at all, especially in runner scoring position. You in the playoffs are going to, or when it gets stressful, you prey off the aggressiveness of the hitter gets even more, so you can expand the strike zone as a pitcher. So you don't have to be so pinpoint or have to worry about, if I walk this guy, what happens. And I think yesterday, although be it against a great closer, when you have to make contact in certain situations, man on third, 1 out, this place was erupting. The crowd and everybody in knowing that they could tie this game up and possibly win it. Unfortunately, they struck out the next 2 times. So when this thing moves forward and the young player learns how to get in that moment and not let that clock go faster and faster, that's when you're going to see this team for a few years be pretty much what the Cardinals have been for the last decade.
2 balls and a strike to count to Anthony Rizzo. You know, and with so much of the productivity coming from the young guys with the Cubs, we're talking about all year long, you lose sight of the fact that the Cardinals are doing it the same way.
Yep.
And not to make, you know, a Pirates-Cubs game about the Cardinals, but they are a part of the Cubs and Cardinals frustrations the past couple of years, because St. Louis is perennially in the way. Rizzo with a high drive into right. The wind is going to keep that very playable for Jeff Decker. In fact, knocked it into a medium fly ball, and there's 2 gone.
That's how significant this place can be. And Rizzo not too happy after he hits this ball. He knows he hits it good and then just sees the result. Take that, bat. Getting a new one anyways.
So 2 out with Bryant still aboard. And that'll bring back Starlin Castro, who's hitless this afternoon.
The theme of the first half for the Cubs was much like this kind of condition. Wind blowing in. Not a lot of results after balls that were hit hard. We talked to Joe Madden early in the year, and he said, man, I'll tell you what, it's a product of a little bit of the weather and some bad luck. But once the wind switched and the second half came around, so did this Cubs team. They hit a lot more home runs. You see the offensive numbers picking up, and therefore the confidence picks up. So early on, the weather pattern can play a huge mind game with not only this team, but visiting teams that come in. You play a lot of low-scoring games. And he also said our pitching benefited from it, so it's a give and take.
Yeah. Certainly been a factor this afternoon, as we've seen. The 1-0 home to Castro is in for a strike. Used to be that Castro and Rizzo were the young guard of up-and-coming Cubs. They got younger and better with the likes of Russell and Bryant and Schwarber and Soler and Baez. This group of Cubs, these young Cubs, have gotten a lot of play, and for very good reason. But the young group in St. Louis has been just as impactful. In fact, here's a number for you. Between Cardinal rookies Greg Garcia, Stephen Piscotty, Tommy Pham, and Randall Grichuk, that's almost 22% of the team's extra base hits in only 14% of the team's at-bats. I don't want to get too hairy with the numbers and the Mr. Science thing on you, but they've made a huge impact there. They just haven't had all the advanced pub that the young group of Cubs have had, because these guys have been here since opening day. Nobody expected those young Cardinals to play as prominent as a role, but they've had to because of injuries.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think Theo has taken a different approach in how they're going to build this thing back up, and it's worked. In a run prevention where we struggled for offense, he went with a lot of young and quality hitters, a lot of swing and miss home run type hitters, but it's worked because they went out and got some free agent pitchers to bolster the staff.
Still 2 balls and 2 strikes to Castro.
And many people think are in prime position to add another one in the offseason.
Talking about the Cardinals?
No,
the
Cubs.
Oh, are you doing the whole David Price coming here thing?
Well, I mean, that's one of the potential guys, but I think they're in a position to go out and get another guy. They have enough chips and an opportunity to.
Yeah, it'd be hard to overlook the power of, the Joe Madden, David Price previous relationship, their connection. On the ground to shortstop. Mercer flips to Walker to retire the side. Nothing in the Cubs' 6th. On to the back third. Still 3-0 Bucks. Liriano has been tough, and he has to date needed just the 3 runs of support that came on the 3-run home run from Jordy Mercer in the 5th. Part of a difficult inning for Jason Hamill, one that he could not ultimately escape. And that's been the story. 3-0 Bucks as we start things in the top half of the 7th. A new pitcher on the mound for Chicago as Neil Ramirez takes over on the mound. Starting Marte, top of the order. And then Jeff Decker and Andrew McCutchen. Ramirez making his 17th appearance of the year, trying to hold it at a 3-0 deficit.
Ramirez can rush it up there like just about everybody else. Goes uphill a little bit at times, which affects his command. He sits on that back leg. Slider. There, check something out that they didn't like on his previous pitch.
Pitching coach Chris Bosio comes out for a little conversation. Everybody gathers.
You see him hit that back leg. I mean, he's got some mechanical things that he fights, and that's the only thing that keeps him from progressing to the next level when you talk about the stuff he can throw out there. So pitching coach is going to let him know right away, hey, let's go. Whatever checkpoint he needed to tell him, or whatever he didn't like.
They got the former closer Tommy Hunter up in the bullpen behind Ramirez. A lot of options here in September, of course, and you talked about the depth of both staffs, the Cubs in particular.
Well, it's rare that you've had each guy that's gone out there has had a backup guy immediately, and that's just kind of a byproduct of Joe Maddon. He's not going to take anything to chance, especially in these kind of games, 3-0 in close games. There's that slider right there. So it's almost telling each guy, hey, your leash is short. Show me that I don't have to get somebody in there quickly. Easy for me to say.
I mean, their leash could be short too if
there you go.
Sent down. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The count to Marte. Full count now. Jason Hamill started, went 4+. Since then, we've seen Grimm, Cahill, Richard, and now Ramirez. And again, with Tommy Hunter getting hot in a hurry, we would assume we'll see somebody behind Ramirez this afternoon, if not another handful of arms. In the air out to right center. Fowler and Soler negotiating, and it's the quarterback that makes the catch in center field. Aerial coverage this afternoon on this beautiful Chicagoland day provided by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. One gone for Jeff Decker, making his first plate appearance. He came on as a switch for the starter this afternoon. Travis Snyder got the nod to open the game in right. And Decker takes a strike.
Funny, at this time of the year, late, all the different options a manager's going to have, which speaks to the 18 pitchers that the Cubs have. Every pitcher has a mannerism or something that right away will tip a manager off or a pitching coach to say, uh-oh. And you just want to avoid that as long as possible. You've been pitching long enough to where your strengths and weaknesses are widely known. And the resources that everybody has is widely known. You're not going to be able to get away with much. You'll be given the opportunity to work your way out of your funk or little issues.
2 balls and a strike. All under the watchful eye of Chris Bosio, whose best big league years came not far away as a Milwaukee Brewer. Among his best big league years as a player. And the strike taken by Decker. There's an interesting story to Jeff Decker's first name, which appears as Jaff. Jeff was named after his father's brother, who perished in a helicopter accident in the military. His uncle was born on a military base, and the nurse, upon birth, accidentally substituted an A for what should have been an E on the birth certificate. So Jeff's uncle Jeff spelled it Jaff, and Jeff was named in honor of his uncle, spelled the same way.
Very nice.
It's kind of one of those things you double check with your eye. You're like, is this Is this right? Is this another typo? Fly ball out to center field, and it's slicing in left for Austin Jackson, who will ultimately make the catch for out number 2. Back to Andrew McCutchen now, who has doubled and walked this afternoon.
The Cubs being here at home, trailing 3-0, have to have more urgency and approach this totally different than Clint Hurdle, who's going to let his starter hopefully go as long as he determines that's the case, because yesterday's game, big win, used some guys, and Melance's 51st save, which is incredible. Clint's got a little bit more luxury and opportunity to be patient.
0-2 the count to McCutchen. Andrew McCutchen, as we mentioned, entered play today just 6 for his last 33. Still getting his share of walks, still getting on base. And always important to the Pirates' success, even in the midst of a cold stretch. A ball and 2 strikes to him now. This will be his 5th consecutive season with 20 or more home runs. And that puts him in pretty good company in Pirates franchise history. Willie Stargell had 13 such seasons.
And he's entering that point where now you see the name on the back of his jersey and you go, okay, this guy's a superstar. And each and every time you may look at his funk, you know he's capable of turning it around and going through incredible stretches of consistency, is what this guy has been for the last 5 years.
Smashed at third that eats up Chris Bryant, and McCutchen's aboard on what will likely be scored as second base hit of the game. It was a rocket.
This ball goes right through the wickets.
Wow, and I stand corrected. They're going to hang an error on the all-world rookie here at home. Chris Bryant tagged with the E5. He picked up early. I get it. Okay. 17th error of the season committed by Bryant. And a 2-out base runner now for Aramis Ramirez. Big swing and a miss. Andrew McCutchen off to a still growing lead. It's at a whopping 1 foot. There it is, settling into a 12-foot lead. Statcast courtesy of Amazon Web Services.
Hasn't as many stolen bases as one would think. Possesses the speed. Obviously 10 on the year. 15 different attempts.
I think there he goes as we speak, a swing and a miss by Ramirez. I think you get into a point of McCutchen's career, and as important as he is to the entire lineup dynamic, the beating that the body takes when you're running like crazy, I think body preservation is just as important for a guy like McCutchen as maybe that extra bag every couple of weeks. See if he tries to run again. 0-2 the count to Ramirez. You get the idea. He goes again on 0-2. Ramirez with a one-hopper for Russell, who plays it on that hop and gets him at first. 7th inning stretch at Wrigley. 3-0 Pirates. is sponsored by Bud Light. Stay in the game and drink responsibly. And by Bank of America, who invites you to keep sharing your favorite baseball memories all season long. Well, the Cubs with some opportunities left to try to get something done against Francisco Liriano and perhaps a sampling of the Bucs bullpen. Liriano has been the problem to date. He has spun 6 shutout innings here on the road. He struck out 5 and scattered a handful of hits. He's been terrific and in command all afternoon. Jorge Soler the first to face him. Soler, Ross, and then Matt Caesar, or the pitcher's spot rather. Got a new third baseman for Pittsburgh as Josh Harrison takes over out there. You know, it's afternoons like this, John, that really kind of beg the question about lining up the Pirates in a postseason series. Francisco Liriano, when he's locked on as he is today, can be unhittable. And the Pirates have won 7 straight games. They've won 14 of his last 15 starts.
Yeah.
His strikeouts per 9 is near 10. It's among league leaders. Like, this is Liriano at his best, and it really gives you pause when you think that Cole is the slam dunk guy. I know you believe in that. As Soler swings and misses once again. That's 6 strikeouts for Liriano today. It's hard to look past these numbers. Last 14 starts, he's 7-1, but more importantly, the team has won 13 of those 14 games.
Yeah, they've definitely had success. They've scored some runs. He's given up a few more runs lately, but I agree with you. I think when he keeps the ball down, which is what we're seeing, knees down, the hitters don't pick up the spin. They don't see the late movement. When he's up and he struggles with his fastball command, that's where his outings have been short. Teams come back and won those games. But I think for Liriano and even Clint Hurdle, it's really quickly noticeable when he's got it and when he doesn't. And right now you're seeing the first part of that. He's got it.
1-1 the count to David Ross. I know that J.P. Morosi had a chance to chat with Liriano himself about how the Pirates would line up, and apparently you're not the only one who feels like it should be Cole. J.P.?
Well, Matt, I had the thought that you did about the fact that Liriano, of course, back in 2013, he threw 7 excellent innings against the Reds in the wild card game. Of course, the Pirates won it that year. So after the game yesterday, I was in the Pirates clubhouse. I said, Francisco, do you think that maybe tomorrow, if you have a good outing, you can convince Clint Hurdle to put you in the game for the wild card game? And he said, no. He's the guy, pointing over to Garrett Cole's locker where Cole was doing his post-game press conference. So at least Liriano's vote is, in fact, for Garrett Cole.
Well, there you have it. I mean, that kind of ends the debate right there. A ball and 2 strikes, the count to David Ross. Swing and a miss. Another strikeout for Liriano. 7 on the afternoon. Back-to-back punch-outs here in the 7th.
This one he went in, didn't try to sink it as much. Power fastball. He's still got the velocity, but he's learned how to pitch off the opposite side of the corner. And what I call by his fastball, sinking, changeup, slider combinations, pretty good for lefties.
The pinch hitter is Chris Denorfia, batting with 2 out and the base is empty.
You see the little gather when he gathers, and every pitcher has a balance point where he gathers. When he makes this turn, sometimes he crowds himself and he pushes the ball. Right there, that gather, everything free. You see the hand come out. That is the only component that gets him a little off kilter. It's a little hesitation, but when he's in rhythm, and I was interested to see after that long inning, would he continue that rhythm? And 2 pitches in, he had 2 outs. The Cubs didn't even wait to see if he could get out of rhythm in that inning.
0-2 to Denorfia, misses the corner, a ball and 2 strikes.
You see the motion right here, and there's going to be a little gather, little turn, then the arm drops and it kind of goes straight down. It doesn't have a swing to it. So that little arm drag, if you will.
There's a ball into straightaway center field, playable for McCutchen to retire the side. That arm drag, if you will,
just fine right now.
In-game box score in the midst of a 3-0 Bucks lead. Harrison and Rodriguez without an official plate appearance yet. The damage come on one swing of the bat. Jordy Mercer's 3rd home run of the year, a 3-run shot. And that's the 3-0 lead that the Pirates continue to hold as we start the top half of the 8th.
Yeah, one bad pitch, a couple hits before, pitcher on deck. You figured, oh, maybe Hamill can work his way out of it. But the 3-run homer, that's where we have a pitcher's duel on the other end, where Liriano has taken that 3 runs and not given much hope for Cubs.
Neil Walker leads things off. Another pitching change for the Cubs. Their 5th reliever of the game is the former Orioles closer, veteran right-hander Tommy Hunter.
Up with Tommy this morning, and he is a proud new dad, 2-day-old young boy.
Oh, very good. Number 1.
Number 1. Been a while, he said. And
jam shot, foul ball, and it's a ball and 2 strikes to Neil Walker.
And as a typical guy, of course, I didn't get the name.
That is true,
yeah,
too.
So if I went home, my wife would go, "Oh, great! What the name? What's his name?" I don't know, but Tommy can throw pretty wicked slider and a good fastball.
You can tell your wife that. I'm not sure, but he still has a real sharp slider, honey.
Yeah.
Is it a boy? Did you get that much?
Yeah, it's a boy.
Okay, all right.
It's funny. It doesn't matter how many years you play, which I played a lot, and you're with your teammates, and you're with them more than you're with your family. But everyone's trying to do their job and trying to be successful. You get in those conversations. How many kids does he have? I don't know. He's got some. I mean, you don't dive into that. Those conversations just don't resonate, I guess, with guys as they do with the gals.
That's always a safe answer, though. How many kids do they have? Some. Some could be 1. Some could be many. 2 balls and 2 strikes the count. Francisco Cervelli waiting next. Rodriguez to follow. Series finale between these two teams tomorrow night. Super matchup between Jake Arrieta and A.J. Burnett. And 1 gone for Tommy Hunter. Aerial coverage provided by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
That's still, believe it or not, that's still a bucket list item for me. The blimp.
Oh, I thought you meant to get DirecTV. I mean, you know somebody that could make that happen for you, I'm
no,
sure.
I want to go in a blimp. I want to see. Check it out.
First pitch to Francisco Cervelli is in for a strike. Where would you want to be?
I want to drive it.
I mean, would you just any old place?
No,
or is
like
there
over a sporting event. It'd be awesome.
Okay. Give the sales guys an idea. 0-2 to Cervelli now.
Preferably on a day like today.
I mean, it is Chamber of Commerce type stuff. Sellout crowd here, 41,150. A ball and 2 strikes to count to Cervelli.
Well, the Cubs don't lack experience in their bullpen. They just lack execution and a consistency, and that's what Joe Maddon's been trying to find as he's added pieces this year. Tommy Hunter is one of those.
Well, I think the richer bullpens are the ones that can accumulate as many one-time closers as possible, and the Cubs are headed in that direction with the likes of Hunter and Fernando Rodney. Fell on a little harder times to start this season, and of course Hector Rondon, who's been pretty good for them.
They tried Rafael Soriano.
Yep.
You know, they're in that position where, as you could see this team mature and get better, that was the missing piece. The consistency of closing out some games in the 8th, 9th.
Is it a personality thing that allows multiple closers to exist in the same bullpen? Is it case specific, or is there some other secret there? Because it doesn't always work. I mean, look at what's happened in D.C. with you added Jonathan Papelbon to Drew Snoren, and it did not have the lights out 8th, 9th inning results that they had hoped for.
I think it works honestly when everybody's not a lights out guy. When they've struggled or been part of that, and then they come together knowing what's best for the team is, I just got to do my part. But if each guy wants to be the guy, then it doesn't work. So you've seen certain guys struggle, have success, Fernando Rodney being one of those. And then you have the young guy on the scene that's trying to cement that role, and Rendon, or whether it be Stroke. But I think when they come from other teams and try to put together a stretch run that these Cubs are doing, you put that all aside.
Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Francisco Cervelli. 1 out, bases empty, 3-0 Pirates here late, and a base hit into right field. 1 out, 1 on in the 8th, and time for another Astros Rangers game break. Mike Hill in our Los Angeles studios. Houston coming up off the mat, Mike. Yeah, it's been such an amazing turnaround month in that AL West. Houston trying to kind of turn it once again at month's end. Here's Sean Rodriguez now. Picture the fact that as that ball gets away from David Ross, throw down to second is not in time. It may have appeared that that was fouled at the plate. That wasn't the case.
Set up away, the ball went in, just didn't close the glove with the ball in it.
Back to the AL West. You know, Houston entered September with a 4-game lead. Since then, the Rangers have gone 16-7, best record in baseball in September. And they've taken a 4.5-game lead entering the day. The Astros, a complete flip-flop, 7-15 this month. As Rodriguez sends that one into the left center field gap. It's going to get Cervelli around to score. And it's been a productive afternoon for Sean Rodriguez as a non-starter today. 4-0 Bucks. Well, the scoring added 2 by Sean Rodriguez. The scoring started by this man, Jordy Mercer, whose 3-run home run we take a look at via StatCast, powered by Amazon Web Services. Exit velocity of 104 miles an hour. Just enough to get it up and over the wall in left. The Pirates have been awfully tough to beat when they lead late, as they do this afternoon, and having added on to a lead here in the 8th inning, Mercer fouls that ball away.
And they really have confidence in all areas of their ballpark, the ball team. Defensively, they know they're going to play defense. That's not going to slump. Offensively, they're going to be able to create runs via the home run or other ways. And pitching wise, they're as good as it gets.
There goes Rodriguez as that pitch is slapped to first. Rodriguez trying to score, and he's thrown out at the plate. Wow, Sean Rodriguez trying to score from second on a ground ball to first.
And you know, at first glance, you're going to say, what was he thinking? But with the pitcher coming up on deck, and then a play at first as he was in motion, might not have been a bad play, but Rizzo had his head looking at the whole time and gave up on the throw to Hunter at first and just got the easy out at home. That is a heads-up play by Rizzo. And, of course, Tommy Hunter was in no-man land as he had to duck.
Here's Liriano now.
So as you see this play develop, I mean, I'm sure he's explaining it. We're going to be able to show you after the pitch just the components that went into that play.
Liriano gets one past Rizzo into right field. Second base hit of the game for Liriano. Runners at the corners with a run in and 2 away.
So Liriano's saying, not so fast, Mr. Rodriguez. I could have driven him in. But back to that play. This is a hit and run that you don't normally see. He takes off, he's got a huge jump, and then he hits it to first base. Now watch, this is going to be a simple flip. At this point, he's looking for Tommy Hunter to come over, and at the last minute, he's going to throw one hop to the catcher, and of course an easy play for Ross. So all around a good heads-up play by Rizzo.
Runners at the corners now for the top of the order, Starling Marte. And, you know, upon looking at it again, and the point you make about the angle that Rizzo had to take to get to that ball, and being a left-handed throwing first baseman, if he does the autopilot move of flipping it to first, Rodriguez could be safe.
Easy safe.
So not as strange a base running decision by Sean Rodriguez as it may have appeared. Now, if that happens in a tie game in the 8th inning of a wild card contest, we might have something else to talk about.
But I think even with Rodriguez figuring, all right, look, I mean, he knows that the pitcher's on deck. And the likelihood of 2 out hit by Liriano, you don't see it very often. Although we did there, but the situation changes.
A ball and 2 strikes to Starling Marte. Ross wants it on the corner. That's where Hunter misses, and it's 2-2. When the Cubs bat in the bottom of the 8th, they'll have 9, 1, and 2 Russell, Fowler, Jackson. So it means at least one more try for the thump in the middle of the order. Guys like Bryant and Rizzo will have something to say, but a little bigger deficit with which to come back from. 4-0 Pittsburgh. Is sponsored by the Lincoln Motor Company and the entirely new Lincoln MKX, and by Goodyear, tires chosen by experts for superior performance. Goodyear, more driven. Major League Baseball's postseason begins on October 6th. The AL wildcard game on ESPN October 7th. The National League wildcard game on TBS, and then October 8th. It's game 1 of both ALDS, only on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Francisco Liriano's been great this afternoon. Tough to solve. He struck out 7, scattered 4 base hits. He had the big home run, the 3-run jack by Jordy Mercer, another run added to his lead in the previous half inning, and again is en route to one of the best seasons of his career in terms of strikeouts and posting towards perhaps his lowest full season ERA in his career. Addison Russell leads off against him here in the 8th. Russell, Fowler, and Jackson for the Cubs.
They had only 92 pitches coming into this inning, so we knew the Cubs were going to be aggressive. He really hasn't had any trouble to speak of. Maybe one inning where Cubs mustered a couple.
Veteran left-hander Antonio Bastardo's up in the Bucs bullpen. Liriano's longest shutout outing of the year was back in middle June against the White Sox. That was an 8-inning affair. Perhaps en route to matching that here as he starts his 8th inning of work against the Cubs. Something about the White Sox as an opponent for Liriano. He no-hit him as a twin pre-surgery. Liriano. And there's ball 4. Both of the walks by Liriano have come to the number 9 hitter Addison Russell. Clint Hurdle wants to check on the status of Bastardo to see how close he is to being ready, and Ray Searage will go out to buy him some time. Elsewhere in Major League Baseball this afternoon, here's one that caught my attention. We talked about that big Blue Jays-Rays matchup. Big in terms of the student and the pupil squaring off against one another. Chris Archer and David Price. Neither one has been as good as he'd been all year. And it's 9-5 Blue Jays in the 7th.
That's amazing. Sometimes you expect that 1-0, 2-1, 3-0 game, and maybe gave him the Cy Young too quick. Still think he's going to get it.
Who's your runner-up then, if that's your guys? Keuchel?
Yeah, Keuchel can still win it. It's not a slam dunk. I'm thinking what David Price did with 2 teams, yet alone the latter, the team he's now helped take the division over the Yankees. I think he's gone 8 or 9-1.
Yep.
With the Blue Jays.
I mean, let's face it, there are not many mid-season pitching acquisitions that go on to kind of put a staff on his shoulders the way David Price has this year. Dexter Fowler bunting foul. I mean, we could go back to the 80s when Rick Sutcliffe was acquired by the Cubs. Dominated the rest of that 84 season, I believe it was.
Yes.
A couple of years prior to that, Don Sutton to the Brewers.
CC Sabathia for me. I know Randy Johnson has some pretty unbelievable numbers, but CC, what he did for Milwaukee.
Yep.
For me, it was the amount of complete games he pitched he came back on 3 days rest.
Yeah.
And he basically said, get on my back, boys. I'm going to get you to the playoffs.
Of course, Doyle Alexander.
9-1. Went 9-0. The one game he lost was to Minnesota. The playoffs.
Were you watching, by the way?
Every game.
Every game he pitched, you watched to see how he did?
I was still a Tiger fan, still rooting for him. And then at some point I went, whoa, 9-0. This thing's going to look pretty lopsided here.
Oh, no, it worked out just fine. Fowler takes a ball inside, and it's a ball and 2 strikes now. Was that 08 CC to the Cubs?
Brewers.
To the Brewers, rather?
Yeah. It was impressive.
To 2-2 now.
He got some Cy Young votes.
He did.
Yep.
We're watching exactly the kind of plate appearance that Joe Madden mentioned to us before the game when he talked about how the top of his order has completely changed with the emergence of Fowler and the call-up of Schwarber, who we have not seen today. Fowler does go down swinging ultimately. The 8th strikeout of the day for Liriano.
Well, he just lulls you into thinking a fastball's coming, and then the bottom drops out of that. That is a great pitch under the action pitch. I call 2-2 an action pitch for both the pitcher and the hitter, of course. Hitter not knowing what's coming.
There's Kyle Schwarber, one of the outstanding Cubs rookies from this year's class. Austin Jackson playing for him and batting in what is his spot against a right-handed starter. And Jackson today so far 0 for 3. A player who at one point was traded for David Price. Price today, by the way, we mentioned that Rays-Jays game. Price went 5, allowed 5 runs. Chris Archer didn't get out of the 4th. 9 earned on 10 hits.
Well, against that Jays lineup, and I'm sure not being able to see any of the action if Archer's slider and fastball were not where it needs to be. That's one of the best right-handed lineups I've seen in a while, when it doesn't matter how good of a right-handed pitcher's on the mound. The Blue Jays punish mistakes.
Yep. Russell with an aggressive leadoff first as Jackson's tied up. He swings and misses. 9 strikeouts for Liriano today.
And as much as we have gotten used to this kind of style, you see another strikeout. Just to finish that touch on the Blue Jays, they don't strike out much. That's what's
surprising.
Amazing.
Yeah,
hit a lot of home runs and do not strike out much.
Here's Chris Bryant now. He has singled and doubled this afternoon. The 9 strikeouts for Francisco Liriano today total 200 for the season. And if you failed to have him in your DraftKings lineup, shame on you.
Yep. Doesn't look like he's sweating today.
On the verge of matching a single season high. Upstairs to Bryant for 2-1 now. Liriano had a 12 strikeout game. We talked about the 8 shutout innings against the White Sox in mid-June. On that same night, he punched out 12. That stands as the high total in a game by a Pirate pitcher this year. It's a strike away from adding to it.
High slider right there. Probably not where he wanted it, but he got away with it. See if he doesn't fade a changeup away. He likes going in on right-handers and then away. See what they decide to do. Try to paint that fastball inside.
Still 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Bryant, a much better high ball hitter than a low ball hitter, despite what you think that swing path. Tall hitter, lanky, uppercut type swing. Down gives him more problems than up. Here comes that changeup.
Runner at first with 2 gone. 4-0 Pirates, last of the 8th. And it's a full count now. You want one that you could win you could win a friendly wager on?
Yeah.
Before Liriano, who was the last Pirates left-hander with a 200 strikeout season?
I immediately say Candelario, but that's probably not it.
Oliver Perez. There's ball 4 to Bryant. Walk, strikeout, strikeout, walk. Anthony Rizzo will be the batter. Starlin Castro on deck as the tying run. And Clint Hurdle's going to go to his outstanding bullpen. He's had Antonio Bastardo hot. The double barrel working as we speak. And that'll be all for Liriano after 7 2/3 of fantastic baseball today. Pitching change. We'll be right back. Pirates so far lead 4-0. The Cubs plan on celebrating. They're clinching a postseason spot with the Giants' late loss yesterday. They're going to celebrate after the game today, so there's still going to be some fun that happens here, even if the Bucs hang on to this lead. Francisco Liriano was great. 7 2/3, did not allow a run. Punched out 9 and yields to Antonio Bastardo with 2 out and 2 on in the last of the 8th. Anthony Rizzo hitless 0 for 3 so far this afternoon. I want to button up Liriano, even though the 2 runners out there are his responsibility. We talked about how stingy he had been in 2-strike counts all year long, limiting opponents to a 100 average. Today, the Cubs were 0 for 16 in 2-strike counts against Liriano.
Math was a very good subject for me. I'm going to say that average goes down.
I think you'd be right.
Yeah, it's under 100.
He's got a chance to push it lower still and end the season with one of the best opponents' batting averages with 2 strikes in the last 50 years. That's among qualified starters. You got to put all the disclaimer language out there. Rizzo sends a fly ball into shallow right center. McCutchen has it to retire the side. We're headed to the 9th at Wrigley with the Pirates still in front 4-0. 4-0 back with Hall of Famer John Smoltz, J.P. Morosi, Matt Vasgersian, and yet another new Cub pitcher to tell you about as the rookie right-hander Carl Edwards Jr. takes over on the mound for Chicago.
Well, you see not much to work from. 2 innings, a long arm, fastball, curveball.
And strike 1 to Jeff Decker. Comebacker. And 1 away. Edwards was recalled from the AAA roster on September 7th. Made his big league debut that day in St. Louis. Tossed a scoreless inning. Originally selected by the Rangers as a 48th rounder back in 2011. One gone for Andrew McCutchen.
Could play the part in if they ever did a movie on LaTroy Hawkins.
Ah, okay.
Same delivery,
right.
Kind of lanky, and LaTroy Hawkins been playing for 40 years now with the Blue Jays.
A Cub at one point, among many other uniforms that the veteran Gary Indiana-born right-hander has worn. A little breaking ball in for a strike. Show us the whole arsenal here, Carl. Let's see what you got. Two balls and 2 strikes. McCutchen this afternoon has doubled, walked, and reached on an error. Josh Harrison next with 1 out and the base is empty. Again, win or lose, the Cubs plan on celebrating after the game today, and we plan on bringing as much of that to you as we can. I think it'll be a little more of a muted celebration should Chicago not be able to come back off the mat and win. Feels weird celebrating after a loss, but they are headed to the postseason regardless of what happens here or for the rest of the year for that matter.
Yeah, and they've earned it according to Joe Madden. I mean, late last night they got news that they were in the playoffs, who would like to win a game and then be able to celebrate after a win. But nonetheless, this is a big moment for this city and this ball club as they move forward.
And a called strike 3 taken by McCutchen. 2 up, 2 down against the rookie right-hander.
Another big moment, if I might say, as we look at this fastball stay right there and outside part of the plate. As you know, we've done many games together. This is my first complete score sheet in 4.5 months. I've not lost interest.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't made a mistake, and I'm still going. Usually by this time I'm looking over to yours and going, how do you do it? 76 consecutive games where you have not made a mistake in this course.
Well, I mean, I make plenty of mistakes. I just scribble them out. You just don't know it. Yeah, that is, you usually do abandon the process. But first pitching change and you tap out. That's it. Josh Harrison now takes a pitch inside to make it a ball and a strike. This is Harrison's first plate appearance of the afternoon. Came on defensively later in the game. When the Cubs bat in the bottom half of the 9th, they'll have Castro, Soler, and Ross. And maybe if things get interesting, some pinch hitting options. Kyle Schwarber notably among them.
I'm impressed with Edwards, his ability to repeat and stay with an off-speed pitch down in the count. He's got a nice little curveball there. He missed a couple little locations, came back with a 2-1 pitch.
Wrapped out to third for Bryant, and a 1-2-3 ninth by the rookie right-hander. Last licks for Chicago to the bottom of the 9th, down 4. Pitcher who is squarely in focus for our Bank of America plays of the game, Francisco Liriano. A strikeout rip, as we call it, 9 of them this afternoon.
Yeah, he was in control of everything, if you think about it. Even at the plate, got 2 hits at the plate. Never felt like he was going to get the train off the tracks. He was outstanding for the Pirates.
Yeah, Liriano with a couple of hits today, and this season he had matched his hit total this year from his entire career. Become an okay hitter in his senior statehood. Joakim Soria takes over on the mound, acquired by the Pirates from Detroit just shy of the deadline back at the end of July, and is working on a stretch of 9 straight scoreless appearances.
Yeah, this is one of those moves that didn't make huge headlines but will be huge dividends for the Pirates. They have lengthened the depth in their bullpen, and of course another club, as we talked about, added an experienced guy, although not be the closer, but a once closer, a very good closer now, leading into Melanson if they need him.
2 balls and a strike to Starlin Castro, starting things in the home 9th. A little pop for Walker, and 1 away for Soria. Again, the series finale between these 2 teams tomorrow. Jake Arrieta and A.J. Burnett. Arrieta trying to get to 21 wins. He has been brilliant down the stretch for Chicago.
Yeah, he has, and that'll be a huge task for Pittsburgh if their quest of potentially running down the Cardinals continues and they hold on to this game. Beating Arrieta would be a huge jolt to then chasing down the Cardinals with 3 more games they have left head to head.
Yeah, they start that 3-game series due the Pirates with St. Louis Monday. St. Louis continues their homestand with the Brewers. Their Saturday night matchup has Jaime Garcia on the mound later on today. And that Brewers Cardinals game will be on FS1 later on tonight. Jorge Soler with a fly ball carrying in right. Decker giving it a look, and just shy of the ivy makes the catch. So the last chance for the Cubs today will come in the form of pinch hitter Tommy La Stella. One of Joe Maddon's favorite pinch hitting options, though in a low leverage situation here with the bases empty and 2 out. La Stella's been very good in limited duty this year. Strange happenings here this afternoon, right?
Yep.
The Cubs are 1 out away from being shut out at home, yet they're getting ready to celebrate a postseason berth, and one that's almost 24 hours old.
Yeah, and having been in that situation, having happened a few times where you're at home and you're like, all right, we're in. You know, our situation being a lot different. We had been a bunch of years in a row, but for a lot of these players, this has never even been close to a reality.
Fly ball into the opposite field for Starling Marte. And the Pirates finish the job. They've won 8 in a row and are rolling through the late September schedule with plenty of momentum at a great time. Francisco Liriano's dominant 7 1/3 led the way today. Just enough offense. Jordy Mercer's 3-run home run. The Bucks added another in the 8th. And Pittsburgh's wild card lead over the Cubs grows to 5.5 games. Home field for the 1-game wild card game is getting closer to becoming PNC Park in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and it's going to be closer to affecting the strategy of Joe Maddon as well, because I think the reality of chasing down the Pirates at this point is not going to be in your favor. So you can rest guys, you don't have to push them. And I think for the Pirates, the quandary is they're close enough again to potentially chasing the Cardinals down, and they're going to be interested to see how they play it out, as they are guaranteed the home field pretty much if they are in the playoffs for the wild card.
We will return to Chicago to watch a bit of their postseason berth celebration right after a word from your local Fox station.